I have my child in the water, and her face is just above the water, so she's breathing, but she drops below, and I go to reach for her to lift her up, and then she comes down below, and then she's, out of reach.
Oh, God.
In the next scene, she's out of reach, and
Introducing Henry, a middleman of 54 years. He finds himself in a predicament as the police have expressed their interest in having a conversation with him regarding his girlfriend, Cassandra Robinson, who has gone missing. Henry and Cassandra shared a home together in Pensacola, Florida, along with their adorable one-year-old daughter, Evelyn. As per Henry's account, Cassandra expressed her desire for some time off, embarked on a vacation, leaving him responsible for taking care of their precious little one. But something seemed off, and Cassandra's family got worried. They reported her missing on June 8, 2018. Things took a twist for Henry a month later when he got arrested for some issues with his coffee bean business. The police saw this as a chance to ask him about Cassandra's disappearance.
I don't want you to tell me anything because I don't want to ask you any questions until I read you your rights, like we did last time about that. So, with that being said, I want to read them to you because, I told you before that I want you to understand them.
I understand my rights.
I know, but you understand that.
I know you have to read them.
Well, I do.
And I'm gonna help you the best I can.
Sure, and I know you will.
But the minute I become uncomfortable with the line of
Then
questioning,
you don't have to, you can stop at any time. That's about the fourth line now.
because, and we can continue to have mutual respect for each other.
Absolutely, sure.
Because, look, you guys are scaring me, okay?
Okay.
You guys have taken,
Okay, wait.
not right now, you're not threatening me.
Oh, that's why I was like, wait a minute, we're sitting here to kind of just relax.
I just mean you've destroyed my
Right.
life
Right.
as a matter of not maybe on purpose, right?
Right.
But effectively and practically speaking, you have disassembled everything that I've been working for. I'm broken. I feel like giving up. And maybe that's your goal, and maybe that's I don't say that disrespectfully.
No, and I don't.
So when you shroud your eyes, I'm just saying that
Yeah.
that's maybe your job and that's your toolkit.
Well, I don't
And
want
maybe that's what
anybody
you're supposed to
give
do.
up.
And I also know that whenever there is a significant other, he's the number one suspect. I get that, okay? And so you have to start there.
Right,
And so I understand that part.
okay.
What I
Well,
don't understand
Let's
is
do this, and
how
then you
all of
can-
this
we can
is.
talk about it, because I really do. I want to.
I know you have to read it. Go
Right.
ahead.
All right.
It's a bit of a complicated situation for Henry. Henry knows he shouldn't talk to the police without his lawyer, but he sort of believes he can outsmart the detectives because he's too confident in himself.
So my most recent interaction with my attorney said to me, for God's sakes, do not speak to any police officers without an attorney present. It can never do you any good. That was the last piece of advice I got from my attorney. I don't know how we can begin a conversation without at least knowing what the questions are going to be in advance so that I can have the opportunity to talk to an attorney before the line of questioning begins. And as it says here, I don't know how to do this. I mean, I want to be cooperative. I think you've seen me be cooperative.
Right.
And yet, I have put myself here as a result of being cooperative. And all of these things that I've lost are a direct result of a single conversation with you and you. And I put myself here because the only information you have in this world came from me. So you've got me in a spot where I want to help you, and yet I am advised emphatically not to speak to you.
Before they start questioning him, Henry gets told about his rights, and they want him to sign some papers saying he understands what those rights are. Henry is aware that if he signs, whatever he says can be used against him. So instead of signing, he talks non-stop about his business for about 20 minutes. trying to dodge signing anything right in front of him.
Do you understand this? You don't have to sign it, but as long as you understand it, because I want to ask you some money questions about the proffer stuff. But I feel uncomfortable if you don't understand it, because you keep talking about it.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I'm trying to help you, and I'm trying not to sign this.
Okay, well, you don't have to sign it, as long as you understand it.
The detective reassures Henry that he doesn't need to acknowledge his rights if he's already aware of them. Upon hearing this, Henry shifts the conversation. He avoids admitting that he is knowledgeable about his rights, despite having stated his understanding at the beginning of the interview. Henry said she wanted more from our relationship. She wasn't happy because I couldn't give her what she wanted. She wanted a closer, more equal kind of romantic relationship, like partners, you know? But it ended up being more like me taking care of her, like a big brother. Maybe it's my instinct to be a caretaker, but it also made me feel distant from her. I respect her progress, but if I'm always taking care of her, we do not really equal. When they were talking to Henry, he would sometimes change things up and start asking the detectives questions. This made them feel uneasy. See how the situation flipped when they discussed Cassandra's grandmother and what she thought about Henry.
What are you talking about? Grandma?
Yes, I was talking about Grandma. Maybe
You mean
that's...
Grandma did put on a different show for me than for...
Sure,
I see.
that's why you're saying that she could have a relationship with her.
I wouldn't think that, because after you get to be her age, you don't much care what people think about you. You're
Right.
more like this guy here who doesn't care what people think about him.
Yeah.
I had one of these dreams. I had my child in the water, and her face is just above the water, so she's breathing, but she drops below, and I go to reach for her to lift her up, and then she comes down below, and then she's, out of reach.
Oh, God.
In the next scene, she's out of reach, and that, right? And then I save her, and then she's another pace away from me in the next scene, right? And I can't get to that. I can't get to that one before I'm woken up.
I'm gonna tell you something. When I was on nights, I had a hard time sleeping, and I took some melatonin. And you say that story, and you're crying right now.
Henry didn't really like Cassandra. He cared deeply for his daughter, Evelyn. That's why his tears seemed genuine. However, there is a chance that Henry was aware of the need to show emotion when discussing the possibility of losing his daughter. Perhaps he made an effort to cry in order to prove that he is not a bad person. In any case, the detective observed this. They used it as an opportunity to establish trust with Henry.
We can relate some on our little girl. My daughter is the world. My daughter can do no wrong in my eyes.
Yeah.
No wrong. She could walk out here and do whatever. Honey, don't say a word. Daddy will find a way to fix this.
Yeah.
I will find a way to justify this. My daughter can do no wrong in my eyes. And I'm probably setting myself up for failure in life, or maybe setting her up for failure in life, but she can do no wrong. And I'm sure in your eyes, Lo can do no wrong.
Yeah.
Your daughter is an angel.
She is, she really is.
In those few moments I got to spend with her,
Yeah.
sitting at your house the other day and interacting with her at your truck in the parking lot of the Dollar General.
Yeah.
She's precious. I was telling my boys, look at this picture I got with this little girl. They get jealous. So I'm telling you what, little girls will steal your heart. And,
Yeah, she's...
kind of off track here,
Yeah.
But that is what happened.
Okay, so my role here and Chad's role here is try to find Cassandra. We're not in the money part of it. I'm sorry that if we did something to cause you to have this money issue. I mean, and if I can explain anything to the federal people about your situation, the only thing I told them is what I saw in...
That part was accurate. I found this much money, and they were like, well, we didn't know it was there, so that upset them. And then the money that you most recently removed from me upon, which I thank you for taking into your custody instead of bringing to here, because it would have been a dead end here.
Right.
At least with you, it has the opportunity to be released back to my sister from whence it came. Are you able to release that back to her?
Not at this time, but whenever it gets to that point, we can.
Okay.
So, they are talking about the day Cassandra disappeared. On that day, Henry's buddy, Julian, offered him a lift because Henry's license had been suspended. According to Henry, he ran errands. visited the DMV to straighten out his license issues, and then headed home. Unfortunately, after throwing a birthday celebration for their daughter, Cassandra somehow disappeared. When the detectives inquired about the timing of the party, Henry was cautious not to provide answers and seemed evasive in responding to their inquiries.
Whenever you got home from the DMV and running your errands, did Julian come inside or did he just drop you off?
I think he just dropped me off.
Just dropped you off?
I think so.
And then,
he may have stepped inside for a moment and said hi, I don't know.
but he wasn't there for the party?
No.
Just y'all. Would he have seen...
And he could have been there for the party, and I asked him, because he's kind of like ubiquitous, in my memory. He's kind of always around, so
right.
He could have easily been there for the party as not been there for the party. But I asked him, and he said he wasn't.
When did you ask him about it?
I asked him sometime after you asked me.
Okay, so he wasn't there.
Because he says he wasn't there.
Had y'all talked about her leaving in text messages?
Well, I imagine to some degree, but most of our talking we did in person.
Right, okay.
Sometimes she would send me frustrated texts while I'm at work or I'm away, because her mind is just spinning, working constantly all the time. She's a very troubled soul. So she'll send me sometimes even accusational texts that I have to
try to work through. Yeah.
Respond to, work through, kind of try
Be
to
very careful about what you
through.
say. Yeah, right. So it's
a big effort.
Yeah. What was she? Was she like?
Just this general disconcert.
Right.
Just dissatisfaction with life in general. Just, I could never please her.
Did
Because
she think you were
fundamentally,
cheating on her, or
always.
really? What made her think that? Did she just sit home and dream it up? Because I know people who do things like that.
Well, yeah. Because there wasn't anything going on. The hell time do I have?
Henry is saying that spending time away from the baby is a big deal for him. He doesn't want to hang out with any other girl instead of the baby. He is either working or at home with the baby. He feels like he is doing his part in the partnership even if his heart isn't completely in it. There is a bit of trouble with his phone because he put a code on it to keep it private, and that upset his partner. She used to read his messages while he was sleeping, and now that he added a code, she's not happy about it. Henry starts telling a story where Cassandra is really upset, and he says he is the one who keeps the family together. When the detectives ask about their relationship, he makes sure to say that Cassandra feels very safe with him.
I wanted to ask you something, that you just
So
said.
if you were to take all of the negative text messages between she and I and build a case against me, you could make me look like a bad guy.
Right. Well, me and my husband have negative texts. He makes me mad sometimes.
Well, I would have to hire an attorney to make that case to the court. If, for instance, the point I just made was made in court, I'd have to hire somebody to make the opposite case, and then hopefully the jury would recognize that this was a regular relationship with a normal amount of frustrating texts and a normal amount of compassionate texts.
Sure.
And a normal amount,
Right.
that this was a typical cross-section of a typical relationship.
So the detectives were hiding an important clue from Henry. While they were talking to people who knew him, they met his friend Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson shared that Henry had a locked trailer on his property. With a search warrant, the police checked the trailer and discovered a big drum inside. When they opened it, they found something related to Cassandra. Now, the detectives plan to tell Henry about this discovery.
In our investigation, we've been doing a lot of investigating since we talked. We've done a lot of search warrants, I think 4 at your house, first time. I've been over there so many times, I feel like that I know that neighborhood pretty darn good. But we did several search warrants, and in this investigation, things have developed. And I've learned more about you and about this whole situation, and with Julian and with Dina and with Ruben, and y'all roasting the beans and going to the market, and anyway, sort of your routine. And that you were working on the coffee shop there on I was Jefferson, and that you were doing the remodel. And I could see from your home, from your house, that you had lots of sketching and thinking. Your mind is thinking about different things, and you had all kinds of plans and things going on. And at some point, it was determined that Mr. Johnson was doing your construction, the demolition part, or in charge, general manager of this project, or whatever. So myself and Chad, 2 days ago, brought Mr. Johnson in, Shelby. Do you call him Shelby? And so we talked to Shelby for a while, and and he explained, he was doing the project down there, but that he had originally met you, I think, through making honey. Mm-hmm. Is that correct? How long have you known him? Because I don't think I asked him that.
I mean, a few years through honey.
Through making honey?
I've been doing honey for a few years, yeah.
Yeah, he's got those honey boxes everywhere.
Yeah, so he does the, once a month he does the honey club mm-hmm. lesson out at the Escarosa extension.
Cool. And so is that true that you have a trailer over there at his property that has your mm-hmm. your ballooning stuff in it? Mm-hmm. How long has it been parked there?
I don't know. I mean, he would know.
He told me about a month.
That sounds about right.
I don't know. Where was it parked before that?
It was at my house.
The one
down at Clubhouse.
At Clubhouse?
Mm-hmm.
In front of your house, that big old trailer?
Mm-hmm. And it was also in at Dina's place.
At Dina's?
Mm-hmm.
Over at the on the bay, Paul's on the bay, mm-hmm. where your boats are, mm-hmm. on that side. Mm-hmm. How long had it been there?
Pretty much since I left the beach.
The beach, okay, all right. And that was
November 30th of 2017.
November, okay, all right. So he was telling us about the trailer, and so Chad and I went over to have a look at it because, we're interested in everything because we're looking for Cassandra. So we went over to take a look at the trailer because we're going to do a search warrant on it, just like we've done search warrants on everything. So I went over to the trailer yesterday and took some pictures of it, and I'll show it to you. Let's see, this is it. Is that it? Is that your trailer? Mm-hmm. The trailer's nice, but what's the size of that trailer? Do you know?
Yeah, it says, I think it's a 7 by 16.
7 by 16. How long have you had it?
A few years.
Few years. Whose name is it in?
The trailer?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's technically registered.
For a big part of the questioning, Henry was super active and chatty. He kept interrupting the detectives because he had a lot on his mind. But when they brought up the trailer, his energy vanished. Henry got all quiet and only spoke when he had to. He's just sitting there, waiting for the detectives to spill the beans on his biggest fear.
So we went over and we looked at it, and I was back here trying to get the tag number off the back here, and I detected an odor. An odor that I recognize very well from doing this job. And it's the odor of decomposition of a human body. Okay? So that immediately put my head to spinning. Okay? So at that point, I called Chad and I. Chad also detected the same odor. He's been doing it a long time as well. We called the search and rescue dogs to come over. They do the odor detection for decomposition of bodies. They had 2 different dogs that alerted on the trailer, on the back here. So at that point, I contacted our supervisors, and we initiated getting a search warrant for the trailer. So we got a search warrant for it. And the keys for these locks, do you know where those keys were at? The round locks? Do you know where the keys for those were at your house?
Not necessarily.
Okay, well, the keys were at your house, and now he collected those keys because part of the search warrant was to collect the keys because I was trying to find Cassandra's keys. That was before. Turns out some of the keys we collected went to these locks, into the tongue lock. So we got the search warrant, and we pulled the trailer out, and we opened up the door. And when we did, we opened up the door. We found, look under, I guess this is your basket for your hot air balloons. What's this? Is that the balloon part?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to tell you, I don't think you're that guy, all right? I don't mean to run over you. Something happened. And I don't think it was I don't think it was a planned thing. I don't know what happened, but I know in my heart, I don't think it was a planned and on purpose thing, because you love little Evelyn, and I don't think you would do anything to harm Evelyn or harm Evelyn's mother.
Of course not.
Something happened, and I need to know from you what happened.
It is a story that I don't think anyone would believe. And that's my problem.
Well, I would like to hear it, because I may. Because, I mean, I've heard lots of things in my career that I would think, oh, that couldn't happen that way. And the more I looked into it, the more I looked into people's lives and things that happen, yeah, things could happen that way. It could have happened that way.
Well, I mean, it did happen that way, and it's just not a matter of something that I have any kind of confidence that anybody would really understand, especially what I've been through recently in the way I've been accused of things I haven't done, and how poorly I fared as a result of submitting myself to the system.
Well, like I said, all of that is not, I'm not.
Well, it just gives you the context of my sense of my lack of confidence of having anyone to turn to.
Right.
To
Well,
tell a
This is a heavy load for you to be having to deal with. I can imagine you having bad dreams. I can imagine what you've been going through. The stress that you've been under.
No, not about that.
The worry.
I'm at peace with what occurred. I understand it. So I guess this is the part where I need an assistant to help me decide what to say and what not to say. I don't know how to tell this story, or I would have told it. I would have told it that night if I'd known how to tell it. I just assumed that it would look like something I was responsible for, and that there was no way out of it.
And sometimes things like that happen, and in a lot of situations, most especially that I've been involved in, as far as domestic violence goes, where it's not always as it seems. It's not always that the man needs to go to jail. Sometimes women can be pretty violent and pretty mean, and cause a lot of the problems. It's not always the man, and I understand that. And I've put many women in jail,
It isn't a domestic violence situation.
Cassandra wound up in this barrel, sealed in your balloon trailer, parked in Shelby's property. I'm trying to figure that out, how in the world that could happen. You know, I've got several scenarios going on in my mind, you know. I just have to go by the evidence, you know. This is the way she was found. So this is what I have to go on. So this is the evidence I have to explain. This is the evidence that only thing I have to go on.
I understand.
You know, I don't want to believe that you're a monster. I want to believe you're a good person and that you're going to be, you know, you're a good dad. That's what I was believing.
Thank you.
But you're not leaving me any other choice but to believe this is a bad thing and a monster did that.
Henry found himself in a tough spot for the first time. He usually could talk his way out of problems, but not this time. So, he made a big decision. He decided to stop talking altogether. Henry chose not to discuss the situation until it went to trial. Unfortunately, during the questioning, Henry had already said too much. He admitted to knowing about what happened, but he didn't give any details. Now, Henry thought his only choice was to tell the court that he didn't kill Cassandra. He believed she accidentally took her own life. The prosecution had a different story. They presented text messages from Cassandra, where she said she planned to leave Henry and take their child. In the end, the jury decided Henry was guilty of murder and he was sentenced to life in prison. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more gripping stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.